in your mind. Meaning now you're making your 2 steps towards finding a way to respond. And now integrating what we've heard today and what I've said about reaction and response, can you come up with a different response to your situation than the regular reaction, knee-jerk reaction that we do usually, which is based on our flight and flight, kind of a harmoniously connected, dictated. Does anybody have a different response? Yes, what was it? Yeah, I'm asking. Did you shake your head?
Yeah, but you respond a bit differently if you take a step back and think about the process.
Yeah, did you get a different idea as to what you could do? Yeah, good. Anybody else? Yes.
So one of my big frustration is I get lost all the time.
Yes.
I don't have no sense of direction.
That makes us too.
Yeah, and I practically experienced that yesterday. So obviously there is a solution to that which I stubbornly don't use, but I think I should be using my GPS more often.
So that's your new possibility kind of a thing. Yes. Or even find a direction before you go. Right.
I'm on the other side.
Yes. Or I have somebody like my sister who is my Krishna who drives me around. So
I have my wife.
How the mala is giving this 4 hours to reach to 2 minutes?
Oh, good. Thank you. So the question is, how do I manage? How do we get strength of moving from reaction to It's just every time, every morning when we do it, I was told the intention of doing a mala was to connect with yourself. Okay, I said the Naukar mantra. And in that process of connecting with self, there was connection with others as well. I was not alone in this universe, and that I was with other people who had the same quality of Atma that I have, and that we are all interrelated, interwoven with each other through this thread that holds all the malas, or the beads, right? So the bead is each one of us. And to constantly remember that I am not an independent, isolated person and have my own wishes and whims, but that I am interdependent and interconnected person who has a responsibility for myself as well as others. And that my actions have an effect, have a consequence that can come back in the form of echo that we heard. So the echo doesn't come from a vacuum, but there is this reflecting force that gets back to us. And we heard about the echo in terms of how the karmic actions and reactions get to us back. Right? So that's one way of explaining what this mala means. Is that helpful? So then the important thing that I want you to remember is that when we do this mala, as many times as you can, but at least once in the morning, is to make that intention and that commitment and to carve a path of where I want to, how I want to walk in all day long, in connection with my Atma, my spirit, and in relationship as an interdependent being. How do I want to manifest who I am? So that's the real commitment every day, and that is the carving of path about how do I want to move forward every day. And then at the end of the day comes the introspection, retrospection, the pratikraman. But the essential part of that pratikraman is spending time in gratitude that yes, I did commit myself to this path in the morning, And I have arrived at some spots I forgot, some spots I behaved very badly, and some spots I did a very, very good job of making life wonderful. So making notations about what supported me to be in harmony with my commitment in the morning, and then introspecting what happened to me, where did I go to sleep, when did I become a Buddha, right? What happened? So then you come back to the triggers that may have come at you. And then make a redo kind of a thing. So saying, okay, now I'm back with my mala, I'm back and awake and alert. Now if I have to rewind and do it all over again, what do I do? And then what do I do? You practice it over and over and over again and keep refining it over and over and over again. Because our triggers are very, very same. Constantly in one form or the other, it's constantly the same. And once we practice and find a concrete practice that works, makes a big difference, essentially. Okay? And one story that I want to tell you also is about reaction and response and how do we do inspired action. Yeah, 5 more minutes? Oh, great. I did that good? That fast? Oh, wow. Now I'll have to decide what I want to say in the 5 minutes then. Okay, then the one key thing that I want to say in this journey towards inner peace and to remain healthy, okay, inside out. And health is not, by health I don't mean only physical health, but it's spiritual, emotional, psychological health. And in our context of this journey, we could say the spiritual journey, okay? And how do we develop spiritual intelligence? And spiritual intelligence is defined as the ability to respond with compassion and wisdom no matter what the situation is outside. Okay, same thing, but in the context of spirituality and intelligence and connected to the happiness quotient and so on, right? So happiness quotient is very interrelated or tied in with spiritual intelligence. So we think our IQ, but then our IQ gets us in big trouble and keeps us engaged in reacting, because we can prove how right we are. The whole law system can collapse if people didn't react, right? So the idea is to use more of our spiritual intelligence and stay anchored in wisdom and compassion at any given moment, so that stepping back could be one step of wisdom, one step of compassion. And then come back and say, I now want to fly on the 2 wings of compassion and wisdom, and then figure out what could be a response that you could have that would create the circumstance, the connection, the beauty of who you are and what you want to manifest in the world. So far so good? Yeah.
There could be a combination of Buddha and Buddha both, right? I mean, if I'm 80% Buddha.
Yeah. We hope you'll become 80%.
Right. I mean, is it possible to have 24-karat gold, or it has to be in becoming?
Becoming.
In daily life I'm talking about.
Becoming.
Okay. Do I have substantial choice in my control, that I can have a full control on my reaction even by spiritual practices that I have?
I mean, we have the evidence of so many people, right? That we are traveling towards it.
No, we are traveling towards it.
Yeah.
But,
the Siddha Bhagwans and all that have reached.
the only reason there is Buddha is because there is no Buddha. If there is no Buddha, there is no Buddha. Because it's
absolutely.
Like Prakriti-wise.
Absolutely. So relative and reality kind of a thing. Yeah.
Right. So
but
if I'm traveling
yeah.
on a path,
Yes.
on one given path,
Yes.
they both are joined with me.
Yes.
Might be in a different ratio.
Absolutely. And very good question. The thing is that we are aspiring, we are longing for that Buddha state, right? But then we are also accepting the Buddha state. So that's the trick. That's the trick. That we are in full glad acceptance of who we are, even in this mode, okay? Because if you don't accept your reactions, right, then you're creating further reactions, further misery for your own self. So the idea is not to delete anything as such, but to accept it as is, make an observation that, oops, this happened, and then retrospect. And then that's why we have this pratikraman kind of an activity in each and every religion, about how do we then come back to our senses and wake up and say that, okay, now I'm wake up, I'm well fed with whatever I need to know, and how do I now create a different response? And that's the journey from the first grade to the graduation, where we begin with alphabets, but then we are ready to rewrite books and novels and scriptures, kind of a thing. Okay. So 5 minutes done for total done, right? Now I'm done? Okay. So let's take nice deep breaths, and I want to check with you, what is one thing that you would now take from this conversation with us to put into practice to move even millimeter closer to your Buddhahood?
Everybody like deep breathing. What is the problem with the deep breathing? Anytime anybody says, oh, take deep breathing, even this is also, your mind is not good, then also thinking, so it's a deep breathing. What's happened to deep breathing?
Deep breathing basically brings you back to yourself. And it kind of neutralizes the sympathetic nervous system, and helps you stay connected to the parasympathetic system as such, right? Where it is naturally happening, you're not in that karta bhav as such, right? You're just kind of taking and allowing the natural way of being. And we are all interconnected because we breathe. So breath becomes that thread that holds all the beads as well. So you kind of take nice breaths, you relax yourself, you try to move towards responding, otherwise you are just geared up to react. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hema, for the enlightening talk. What my bright mind figured out is there is only a letter difference between the two states, but it's probably night and day. So thank you for an enlightening talk. It's a good time for a break. The tea is served in the room that lunch was served, and there are some snacks with it as well. The break is for 15 minutes, so we'll reconvene for our last session after that.
And I have some more beads if anybody wants.